Have you ever encountered people who notice absolutely every single detail? Have you ever sat across from someone who, within seconds, points out the microscopic change in your appearance, the subtle shift in your style of dress, or the almost invisible deviation in your daily routine? You walk into a room, and before you've even said hi, they've already registered that you're wearing a different shade of lip balm, that you've swapped your shoelaces, or that the vibe of your text messages has been off since Tuesday. To most people, the world is a blurry background, but for these individuals, life is shot in 8K Ultra HD. Every loose thread, every flicker of an eyelid, and every change in the tone of a hello is a loud, ringing notification that they can't swipe away. Is this a real-life superpower, like having some kind of main character observation skill, or is it actually a low-key, exhausting curse to see everything that everyone else blissfully misses? Think about it. Most people's brains have a built-in spam filter. When they walk into a coffee shop, their brain just says, okay, cafe, people, smells like beans, moving on. But if you're a detail hunter, your brain doesn't have that filter. It's like your internal browser has 50 tabs open at once, and all of them are playing video. You notice the way the barista hesitated before calling out a name. You notice the dust on the third shelf that nobody has touched in months. You notice that your friend is smiling, but their eyes aren't crinkling the way they usually do when they're actually happy. It's a sensory overload that makes life feel like a never-ending mystery novel where you're forced to be the detective, even when you just wanted to buy a latte in peace. Your day doesn't start when you get to school or work. It starts the second your eyes open. While a normal person is thinking about breakfast, you're already analyzing the glitches in the matrix. You notice that the light hitting your wall is a slightly different shade of yellow than it was yesterday, which means the seasons are shifting. You notice that your phone charger is frayed by exactly 1 millimeter more than it was last night. You're scanning for patterns before you've even had a sip of water. This is system architecture for the soul. You see the logic behind the physical world, the way things connect, and more importantly, the way they break. When you notice everything, normal is just a temporary state between two anomalies. Why does this happen? In psychology, we talk about high sensitivity, but let's call it what it really feels like: having a brain with zero chill. While everyone else is playing the game of life on low graphics settings to save battery, you're playing on ultra with every setting turned up to the max. Your brain is constantly scanning the environment for glitches. This usually comes from a place of deep empathy, or sometimes a history of needing to read the room to stay safe. If you grew up in a place where you had to guess how someone was feeling just by the sound of their footsteps, you've basically trained your brain to be a high-tech radar. You aren't creepy for noticing that your teacher is having a bad day because they used a blue pen instead of a black one. You're just highly tuned to the frequency of the world. Let's talk about the social side of this, because that's where it gets really intense. Being a detail-oriented person in a group of friends is like being the only one who can see invisible ink. You're at a party and everyone is laughing, but you're the only one who notices the 2 seconds of awkward silence between two people. You notice the way your crush adjusted their hair only when you walked in. You see the cracks in the stories people tell. It's a double-edged sword. On one hand, you're the best friend anyone could ask for because you notice when someone needs a hug before they even know it themselves. On the other hand, it's lonely. You see the things people are trying to hide, the sadness, the lies, the little insecurities, and you have to decide whether to say something or just sit there with all that data, feeling like a secret agent with no agency. But wait, it doesn't stop in the physical world. Let's talk about digital forensics. For the person who notices everything, a single Instagram story is a 500-page novel. You don't just see a picture of a coffee cup. You see the reflection in the window, the timestamp, the specific choice of a song that's clearly a subtweet to someone else. You notice when a friend changes their profile picture to something slightly more moody. You notice the difference between a haha and a ha, and you know exactly which one means they're actually mad. While your friends are scrolling mindlessly, you're performing a full-scale psychological audit of your entire feed. It's exhausting, but you can't help it. The data is just there, screaming for you to analyze it. And then there's the hyperfocus trap. Have you ever been unable to study because there's one tiny crooked poster on the wall? Or because the person next to you is breathing in a specific rhythm that just feels wrong? To the rest of the world, you're being dramatic or extra. But to you, that tiny detail is like a siren going off in your head. Your brain tells you that if the small things aren't right, the big things are going to fall apart. This is why people who notice everything often struggle with perfectionism. They aren't trying to be difficult, they just literally cannot unsee the flaw. It's like having a pebble in your shoe, but the pebble is a typo in a 50-page document, or a slightly off-center logo on a hoodie. You aren't just noticing the flaw, you're living in it. But let's flip the script. There's a huge creative payoff to this. Most of the best artists, directors, and songwriters are people who are obsessed with the small stuff. They're the ones who can describe the exact way rain smells on hot asphalt, or the specific look of fake confidence. When you notice everything, you have a massive library of human moments stored in your head. You're an accidental expert on human nature. You understand the vibe of a place better than anyone else. While everyone else is just vibing, you're analyzing the ingredients that make the vibe work. You're the architect of the atmosphere. If you were making a movie, your frames would be perfect because you'd know exactly where that one stray shadow shouldn't be. However, the burnout is real. Imagine your brain is a smartphone. For most people, observation.exe takes up maybe 5% of their battery. For you, it's taking up 85%. By 4 p.m., you're emotionally and mentally fried. This is why people who notice every detail often need a lot of hermit time. They need to go into a dark, quiet room where nothing is changing, nothing is moving, and there are no details to process. It's a total system reboot. If you find yourself needing to disappear after a social hang, it's not because you're a loser. It's because you've just processed more data in 3 hours than some people do in a week. You've been running a high-fidelity simulation of reality in real time, and your CPU needs a break. There's also the memory curse. Because you notice everything, you remember everything. You remember a comment someone made 6 months ago about their favorite obscure candy. You remember the exact look on someone's face when they were disappointed 3 years ago. The problem? Most people don't remember. So when you bring it up, you look like a genius or a stalker. There's no middle ground. You have to learn the art of selective forgetting, or at least selective mentioning. You have to pretend you didn't notice the tiny lie, or the fact that they're wearing the same shirt they wore on their last 3 first dates. Carrying the world's history in your head is a heavy burden when everyone else is living in a permanent delete after 24 hours mode. Is there a way to turn it off? Honestly, not really. It's part of your OS. It's hardwired into your neural pathways. But you can learn to manage it. You can learn that just because you noticed a detail doesn't mean you have to react to it. Just because you saw your friend's eye twitch when you mentioned a certain topic doesn't mean you have to stage an intervention right then and there. It's about learning to be a witness rather than a judge. You're just a spectator in the gallery of life, and the details are the art. Some of it is beautiful, some of it is weird, and some of it is just there. You have to give yourself permission to let some tabs stay open without clicking on them. If you're the person who notices the small things, you are the one who keeps the world from becoming a boring gray blur. You're the one who remembers the obscure birthday, the specific way someone likes their toast, and the exact moment a dream started to become a reality. You are the keeper of the Easter eggs in the game of life. It's a heavy role to play, and yeah, it's annoying when you can't stop staring at a crooked picture frame, but it also means you're truly, deeply alive. You're not just skimming the book of life, you're reading the footnotes, the margins, and the hidden messages between the lines. You are the one who finds the meaning in the meaningless. So, the next time someone asks, "How did you even see that?" just smile. They're living in a 480p world, and you're in 8K. It's a lot to handle, it's messy, and it's loud, but it's also incredibly vivid. You see the world in all its complicated, tiny, beautiful pieces. You notice the way the light catches a spiderweb, the way a person's voice softens when they talk about what they love, and the way the world seems to reset every time the wind blows. And honestly, that's a pretty cool way to exist. Just don't forget to recharge your battery, because being the world's most detailed observer is a full-time job with no days off. But the view from your perspective, it's absolutely 100% worth it. Stay observant, stay curious, and remember, in a world of big pictures, it's the small strokes that actually make the masterpiece. You aren't just seeing the world, you're seeing the truth of it, one tiny detail at a time. If you like this or it resonates with you, please like and subscribe. We need your support to see that you enjoy our content. It's our sign to keep going and bring you even more stories.